Hello, and welcome to the sixth episode of Did You Know, in which I try to explain a few historical fascinations. For instance, this weekend, Newcastle United go to Wembley in search of their first domestic silverware in 68 years. But did you know that 99 years ago they starred at Wembley in the rainy day final that was as magic on the field as it was tragic off it? Now, it is hard to believe these days that in the first half of the 20th century, Newcastle were one of the great cup teams of all time. From 1910 to 1955, they won the FA Cup on 6 occasions, including 3 in 5 years in the early 1950s. And this shows Captain Joe Harvey in 1952 lifting the trophy for the second successive year. Plus, they lost in 4 more FA Cup finals in these decades. So, on average, they reached Wembley once every 4 years, once every 5 years. And that is quite astonishing. Now, the second time they won the Cup was in the 1924 final, the rainy day final, April the 26th, 1924. And here we have some of the Magpies fans sailing down to the capital. Here they are leaving the Tyne en route for the Thames on a steamer, which cost them 25 shillings return. Now, others went down to the capital on a specially chartered Northern Echo steam train, where they were met at King's Cross Station by a specially chartered fleet of Northern Echo charabancs, which took them sightseeing in London. And here they are on the embankment, waving at the Northern Echo cameraman before going on to Wembley. The Echo even printed a picture of the train driver, Mr. Richardson, who had brought the engine down from Newcastle to King's Cross. There he is in the top right hand corner with his fireman, Mr. Harl. And, said the Echo, the special train had used up 60 hundredweights of coal on the journey down from Newcastle. But their opponents that day were Aston Villa, and one of the specials carrying their fans to London was involved in a terrible accident in a tunnel near Euston Station. Their special train was stationary when, in the pitch darkness, an electric train from Watford ploughed into the back of it. 4 Villa fans from Coventry died almost instantly, including 2 who were next door neighbours, and another poor fellow succumbed to his injury a day or so later. So 5 died in total, and about 50 were badly injured. But the Echo's front page report concluded those who were only slightly hurt expressed their determination, in spite of their experiences, to see the cup final. And so, in front of a crowd of 91,695, the match went ahead. But it was wet. It was, said the Echo, a muddy, slushy day, and it poured down, and many fans used their match programmes as umbrellas. Therefore, a programme in good condition from the rainy day final is the most sought after by collectors of any programme from a Wembley final. They'll pay more for it than they will for any other Wembley programme. The Wembley pitch, as you might imagine, was a quagmire, but by all accounts it was a good game, even though the score was still 0-0 going into the last few minutes. Now, the outstanding feature of the match, said the Echo, was the particular brilliance of Bradley, Newcastle's reserve goalkeeper, who on one occasion warded off the shooting efforts of 4 opponents in the goalmouth. Now, Bill Bradley was a Gateshead lad, and he only got the call up for the match when the first choice keeper was injured in the last match before the final. So perhaps Newcastle fans will consider that an omen for Sunday's Carabao Cup final, as their first choice keeper, Nick Pope, is unavailable, having been sent off in the last match before the final. And so they will take to the Wembley pitch with a reserve goalie in nets. Now, here are the Newcastle fans, rattles at the ready, sheltering under their umbrellas. The Echo said, the match was quite thrilling in varying degrees and will always be memorable to those who saw it by reason of the dramatic closing moments. 6 minutes from the end, the extra time, that wearying half hour which makes a football match seem an eternity, seemed inevitable. But then something happened. The entire Newcastle forward line, moving with fine rhythm and a due regard for accurate footwork and positional play, swept up the field with an irresistible dash. And though Tommy McDonald's shot, in which the movement culminated, was parried by the diving keeper, Neil Harris, the Newcastle centre forward, scored from the return. And the Tyneside followers roared themselves hoarse, got their rattles into harness, and shook Wembley with a racketing discord. Fine dramatic words there from the Echo's reporter. Villa immediately swept down to the Newcastle goal, but missed the chance to equalise, allowing Newcastle to swoop to the other end of the pitch, where they scored through a fantastic shot from Stan Seymour, unstoppable, into the back of the net. The Magpie supporters greeted it with what seemed like a Wolves chorus of delight, said the Echo, and it published this fantastic picture of the ball actually hitting the back of the net. That's a weird headline there. Robert catches Seymour in the act. And I think that refers to Robert the Bobby in the top left of the picture, who has given up on crowd control and is celebrating wildly the Magpies' goal. And so it was a 2-0 victory, and the Newcastle captain, Frank Hudspeth, collected the trophy from the Duke of York, who would later become King George VI. Hudspeth was from Percy, Maine, and his 19-year career makes him one of Newcastle's longest-serving players ever. And this is an absolutely fabulous picture, I think. It's taken by the Echo's chief photographer, Douglas Jefferson, who must have been responsible for all the other day's pictures, and so presumably he went down to the final on that Northern Echo special excursion steam train, driven by driver Richardson and fireman and using 60 hundredweight of coal, as we've already established. Anyway, we still have his original print in our archive. And here is the captain, Happy Hudspeth, as the Northern Echo calls him. The Echo says his cup of happiness, which will shortly be filled to overflowing. Now, the big question is whether 99 years later, and with another reserve goalkeeper between the sticks, will Captain Kieran Trippier be picking up the cup of happiness that will be filled to overflowing with merriment on another Newcastle Joy Day at Wembley? I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that one, but thank you so much for watching Did You Know? And now you can say that, yes, you do know about the Rainy Day Cup final. Don't forget to subscribe to Did You Know? And until the next Did You Know? Thank you and goodbye.